All right, so here's our review session for dividing decimals. This is the last part of this lesson, so we'll jump right into it with our warm-up. Our warm-up asked, use any strategy to divide 8 and 4/10 by 3/10. So again, this won't be in your book, but just follow along and kind of just a review as far as what we do. So our first number is always our dividend, which goes inside here. The number on the outside, this one, that's our divisor. And we know from practice that when we have decimals in our divisor, we need to move that decimal over to make our dividing easier. But if we move it in the divisor, we have to move it for the dividend. So this gives us 3 dividing into 84. So we just do it the typical way. 2 3's go in there, which gives us 6, gives us 2, bring down our 4. 3 times 8 gives us 24. With no remainder. So our answer is 28. So that's how many 3/10 we need to get 8 and 4/10. All right, let's just jump in and skip this first example we have here. But first things first, go ahead and go to page 369. And again, if you're listening to this video, pause this or rewind it if I'm going too fast on any of these parts. So like I said, we're going to skip this example. Let's go right to number 1. And this asks us, what number multiplied by 8 will give you a product of 9.6? Well, let's write that out. We need to figure out what number is multiplied by 8 to give us 9 and 6/10. So like I've said before, multiplication is basically a cousin to division, and we can flip the numbers around to make them work. So if we need to find this mystery number, we can simply do this. Let's put 9 and 6/10 as our dividend, and let's divide by 8. We don't have a decimal in our divisor, so we don't have to move any decimals at this point. But we should bring this decimal right up here to remind us to use that. All right, 8 goes into 9 once. 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down your 6. 8 goes into 16 twice. So our mystery number is going to be 1 and 2/10. So basically, I could do, so this is actually 1 and 2/10. All right, let's move on. Turn the page. We're not going to do all the examples. We'll do just enough to get some review in here. All right, the length of a screw is 7,500 centimeter. How many screws can be placed end to end to make a row that is 18 centimeters long? Well, let's split this up into 2 parts. Let's make this first part, we have 18. We're dividing it by 75 hundredths. And that looks like this, 18 or 75 hundredths here. We've got decimals in our divisor, so let's move this twice. We don't have a decimal in our dividend, so we have to create one and move it over to give us this. So over here, we have 75, and we have 1,800. So here's where we got to use guess and check. That's just basically using some examples to get numbers that we think will work. So with 75, it won't go into 1 or 8. So I need a 75 that goes into 180. So let's try 2. And that gives me 150. I know if I go by 3, that's probably going to be too big. Well, let's try it anyway. 75 times 3. Yep, that gives me 225. That's too big. So let's go for 2. 150. We do our subtraction, bring down our 0. So now we have to go to 300. I know 75 times 2 is 150, times 3 is 225. I can guess that if I add 25 to that, that'll give me 300, but let's make sure. And there we go. So 24, and it gives me a remainder of 0. So, so how many screws would it take? It would take 24 screws. There we go. Look at this next problem. What is 6 5/10 divided by 5/10? Let's just set it up. So this is the dividends, what's being divided. Here's our divisor. Move our decimal points. So now this becomes 65 divided by 5. 5 goes into 6 once. We subtract, we got a 5. Okay, and that gives the answer of 13. This is a curious one. It says Gwen shows A is the correct answer. How did she get that answer? It took me a second to look at this and figure it out, but I figured it out. Gwen did this. Look at what she did. This got 1, 2 spaces over. She multiplied. So she just used a different operation. So I couldn't for the life of me figure out how she got that answer. But yeah, this is not the answer because that's what you get if you multiply the two numbers. We should be dividing. Let's look across at the next page. Jordan has $3.80 to spend at the used bookstore. Each book costs 95 cents. What's the greatest number of books Jordan can buy? Well, split this up. We have 380 divided by 95. And that looks like this. The first number is your dividend. Your second number is your divisor. Move these two. And over here, now our divisor is a whole number, and so is our dividend. This was another curious one. I knew 95 didn't go into 3 or 8, so I had to try 95 to give me that whole 380. And I discovered if I tried 4, there's my 380 that I need. So you can get, for that amount of money, you can get 4 books. Exactly. All right, let's do a couple more. We're going to do 5. You can ignore this. This is kind of a waste of time. Keith bought 3 4/10 pounds of peanuts on Monday, 2 5/10 pounds on Tuesday, and 4 pounds on Wednesday. He's going to divide the peanuts equally between himself and 2 friends. How many pounds of peanuts will he get? So the first thing is we have 3 4/10. We have 2 5/10, and we have 4. Just like this. We need to total up how many peanuts he got. We have 9. So we have 9.9 pounds. Now we have to talk about how many friends he has. But he's talking about himself and 2 friends, so that's 3 people. There's lots of steps with this one. That's why I want to do it. So let's divide 9 9/10 pounds of peanuts between 3 kids. Let's bring our decimal point up. 3 goes in 9 that many times. Bring down your 9. 3 goes in 9 3. So your answer is each kid gets 3.3 pounds of peanuts. All right, cross off 6. Turn the page. We're going to skip 6 and 7. We didn't really talk about the decimal grids because I thought they were too confusing. But let's do this last problem. And split your work area into 2 spots. A sticker is 1 2/10 centimeters wide. How many stickers will fit the edge on a strip of paper that's 108 centimeters long? So let's set this up. So we have 108. We're dividing it by 1.2. Here's our 108. Here's our 1.2. You have to move the decimal over. For this, we move our invisible decimal and just add a 0. This causes us to have 12 into 1080. I'm looking at 12. It doesn't go into 1 or 0. We need to see a 12, see if that goes into 108. And since I know an 8's in my ones place, I tried 9, and that gave me my 108. However, be careful. Some kids get excited. They see the 0 here, and they think, well, I'm done with the problem. You still got to deal with this 0 over here. And 12 goes into 0 0 times. And that's our remainder. So we can do 90 stickers. All right. For your homework, we're going to do IXL still. It's going to be J8 division and decimal quotient. So all your answers will have a decimal. All your numbers will be whole numbers, but they're word problems. So just be careful with how you set them up. You work to 70, and then that should be it for that.